Hey everybody, it's Rob again here with one of my favorite songs. This time one of the classics of all time from 1924, written by Walter Donaldson and George Whiting. George Whiting was more of a classical composer, but he did compose for Tin Pan Alley sometimes. And this was probably his best known tune. In fact, it was his best known tune as a composer. Walter Donaldson was also a composer, and he wrote many hits, many with Gus Kahn, My Buddy, Makin' Whoopee, Yes Sir, That's My Baby, and wrote with others as well. And this may, arguably is one of his biggest hits as well. I get asked sometimes what's the best-selling song of all time doing these workshops I do called The Stories Behind the Songs. And traditionally the answer, and I think it's supported by the facts, is Bing Crosby's White Christmas. That's a Irving Berlin tune written in 1941 for the film Holiday Inn, and Bing Crosby famously didn't like the tune too much. He thought it was too sad, but he recorded it anyway. The producers urged him on, and there's a famous line. I was reading his autobiography, and he said, "Irving, can't you write something happy? It's Christmas." But Irving Berlin had melancholy around Christmas for a few reasons, and that was, kind of broke with the sort of tradition of, more upbeat in the secular world, upbeat Christmas songs. And then soon after that, you had I'll Be Home for Christmas and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which is really not that merry, sung by Judy Garland in Meet Me in St. Louis as she cries looking out the window. But I digress. When White Christmas became the best-selling song of all time, people say, what was the best-selling song then, before White Christmas, laid claim to this? And most people would say it was this song called My Blue Heaven. And the version that is most responsible for it being that popular was by Gene Austin. Some people call him the original crooner. He's from Texas. He came to New York and had this beautiful, sweet, high voice. And, this is the age of the crooner was, in that sort of later 20s when ribbon microphones were invented. And before the ribbon microphones were not super sensitive. And so early recordings particularly, but even up until the teens, everyone's shouting, what sounds like shouting. Now, sometimes they deliver subtleties in some ways and some beautiful performances, Bessie Smith and Mamie Smith and, other singers. But really the dawn of the great singers was the ribbon microphone and the crooner. And you talking about Rudy Valley and Bing Crosby, but Gene Austin was kind of one of the earliest big stars in the crooning world. Crooning was thought to be by, the older generations too sexualized. The ribbon microphone allowed people to really emote through the microphone, to use subtleties, breathing, whispering, sweet sounds where you could never have done this before. So really using the human voice almost to seduce. And when it first came out, it really felt very different from what anyone had heard before. So this tune was recorded in 1928 by Gene Austin. It had been recorded by others already, but this one went to #1 for 8 weeks. And it's a beautiful song. It's a song about home, about simplicity, about love, about being content. And it's something almost we could use a bit more of now, I think. So it has this beautiful, what they called the verse, the first part of the verse, which is not sung really anymore. You'll not recognize the very first part I sing, and then it gets into the more familiar melody, and you may recognize that part. So this is My Blue Heaven, George Whiting and Walter Donaldson, a co-write, published by Feist, I believe, which is one of the big Tin Pan Alley publishers. And the version by Gene Austin, I'm going to play, I'm going to interpret it, but if you want to check it out, I'll put the link in the comments or in the description below. Very unusual recording for its day. Along with being a beautiful tune, it's piano, whistling, and cello. So really unusual when you usually have band backups. And there's a story that goes behind it that Gene Austin wanted to record this song, but that his record company was on Victor Records before they were bought by RCA. They became RCA Victor after that. He was on Victor Records, big label, And by the accounts that I've read, they didn't really have much interest in this tune. So he was on a break and he thought he was going to come back and they were going to do the tune that he wanted to do, and everyone was gone. So he enlisted like an agent there, who could play the piano, and I'm not sure if it was a song plugger or someone working at the theater who could play the cello, and they put together, and then there's whistling. Somebody in this, and I'm not sure who it is, it's uncredited, so we'll never know, but this incredible whistling, which sounds like it's been altered. It almost sounds like a plug-in or something in a modern recording. It's unbelievably strange. It's like a vibrato happening, and where every note is doubled. But I don't believe that there was any technology that would have allowed you to do that. There was no overdubbing in 1928. So I don't know how they accomplished it, but if you go check it out, you'll hear what I mean. It's very, very seductive, this tune. But it's a really simple little tune. It goes like this. Day is ending, birds are wending back to the shelter of each little nest they love. Night shades falling, lovebirds calling. What makes the world go round? Nothing but love. Where whippoorwills call and evening is night, I hurry to my blue heaven. I turn to the right, a little white light will lead us to my blue heaven. You find a smiling face, a fireplace, a cozy room, a little nest that nestles where the roses bloom. Just Molly and me, and baby makes three. We're happy in my blue heaven. We're happy in my blue heaven. We're happy in my blue heaven. That's a little version of this beautiful, simple tune, My Blue Heaven. Made famous by Gene Austin in 1928. Hit like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. I'm going to be playing a lot of these classics, and check out the link in the description below to hear Gene Austin's beautiful version of this tune. And last detail, Gene Austin was managed by Colonel Tom Parker before Elvis was managed by Colonel Tom Parker. So there's the legacy of big name in the 20s to a big name in the 50s and 60s. Both probably mismanaged, for all I know. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.